continuing where I left off. Is the promise kept? But the shade said, Phoebus' cauldron told you no lie, my captain, and no god drowned me at sea. The helm that I hung on to, duty bound to keep our ship on course, by some great shock chanced to be torn away, and I went with it overboard. I swear by the rough sea, I feared less for myself than for your ship, with rudder gone and steersman knocked overboard. It might well come to grief in big seas running. 3 nights heavy weather out of the south on the vast water tossed me. On the 4th dawn I sighted Italy, dimly ahead, as a wave crest lifted me. By turns I swam and rested, swam again and got my footing on the beach. But savages attacked me as I clutched at a cliff top, weighted down by my wet clothes. Poor fools, they took me for a prize and ran me through. Surf has me now, and sea winds washing me close inshore. By heaven's happy light and the sweet air, I beg you by your father and by your hopes of Aeolus, the rising star, deliver me from this captivity. Unconquered friend, throw earth on me. You can. Put to Villaport, or if there be some way to do it, if your goddess mother shows a way, and I feel sure you pass these streams and Stygian marsh by heaven's will. Give this poor soul your hand, take me across, let me at least in death find quiet haven. When he had made his plea, the Sibyl said, From what source comes this craving? Palernus, would you though still unburied see the Styx, and the grim river of the Aeneid, or even the river bank, without a summons, abandon hope by prayer to make the gods change their decrees. Hold fast to what I say to comfort your hot lot. Neighboring folk in cities up and down the coast will be induced by portents to appease your bones, building a tomb and making offerings there, on a cape forever named for Palernus. The simple words relieved him, and the pain was for a while dispelled from his sad heart, pleased at the place name. So the two walked on down to the stream. Now from the Stygian water, the boatmen, seeing them in the silent wood, and headed for the bank, cried out to them a rough, uncalled for challenge. Who are you, in armor, visiting our rivers? Speak from where you are. Stop there. Say why you come. This is the region of the shades, and sleep, and drowsy night. It breaks eternal law for the Stygian craft to carry living bodies. Never did I rejoice, I tell you, letting Alcestis cross, or Theseus and Parithos, demigods by paternity, though they were invincible in power. One forced it in chains from the king's own seat, the watchdog of the dead, and dragged him away trembling. The other 2 were bent on carrying Our Lady off from this chamber. This the prophetess and servant of Afrasian Apollo briefly answered, Here are no such plots, so fret no more. These weapons threaten nothing. Let the great watchdog at the door howl on, forever terrifying the bloodless shades. Let chaste Proserpina remain at home in her uncle's house. The man of Troy, Aeneid, remarkable for loyalty, great in arms, goes through the deepest shades of Erebus to see his father. If the very image of so much goodness moves you not at all, here is a bow. At this she showed the bow that had been hidden, held beneath her dress. You'll recognize it. Then in his heart, puffed up with rage, subsided. They had no more words. His eyes fixed on the ancient gift, the bow, the distant gift so long unseen, now seen. He turned his dusty craft and made for shore. There from the lone thwarts where they sat, he cleared the other souls and made the gangway wide, letting the massive men step in the bulge. The leaky coracle groaned at the weight and took a flood of swampy water in. At length, on the other side, he put ashore the prophetess and hero in the mire, a formless ooze amid the green-gray sedge. Great Cerberus, barking with his triple throat, makes all that shoreline ring, as he lies huge in a facing cave, seeing his neck begin to come alive with snakes. The prophetess tossed him a lump of honey and drugged meal to make him drowse. 3 ravenous gullets gaped, and he snapped at the suck. Then his great bulk subsided and lay down through all the cave. Now seeing the watchdog deep in sleep, Aeneid took the opening. Swiftly he turned away from the river, over which no soul returns. Now voices crying loud were heard at once, the souls of infants wailing. At the door of the sweet life they were to have no part in. Torn from the breast, a black day took them off and drowned them all in bitter death. Near these were souls falsely accused, condemned to die, but not without a judge or juryman. Had these souls got their places, Minos reigned as the presiding judge, moving the urn, and called the jury on the silent ones to learn of lives and accusations. Next were the souls, those sad souls, benighted, who contrived their own destruction, and as they hated daylight, cast their lives away. How they would wish in the upper air now to endure the pain of poverty and toil. But iron law stands in the way, since the drear, hateful swamp has pinned them down here, and the Styx that winds 9 times around exerts imprisoning power. Not far away, spreading on every side, the fields of morning came in view, so called, since here are those whom pitiless love consumes with cruel wasting, hidden on paths apart, by myrtle woodland growing overhead. In death itself, pain would not let them be. He saw here Phaedra, Procris, Erythile, sadly showing the wounds her hard son gave, evident, Pasiphae, as whose side Ladomia walked, and Canius, a young man once, a woman now, and turned again by fate into the older form. Among them, with her fatal wounds still fresh, Phoenician Dido wandered the deep wood. The Trojan captain paused nearby and knew her dim form in the dark, as one who sees, early in the month, or thinks to have seen, the moon rising through cloud, all dim. He wept and spoke tenderly to her. Dido, so forlorn, the story then that came to me was true, that you were out of life, had met your end by your own hand. Was I the cause? I swear by heaven's stars, by the high gods, by any certainty below the earth. I left your land against my will, my queen. The gods' command drove me to their will, and now they drive me through this world of shades, these moldy wastelands, and these depths of night, and I could not believe that I would hurt you so terribly by going. Wait a little. Do not leave my sight. Am I someone to flee from? The last word destiny lets me say to you is this. Aeneid with such pleas tried to placate the burning soul, savagely glaring back, and tears came to his eyes. But she had turned, with gaze fixed on the ground as he spoke on, her face no more affected than if she were immobile granite or Marpesian stone. At length she flung away from him, and fled, his enemy still, into the shadowy grove, where he whose bride she once had been, Zacchaeus, joined in her sorrows and returned her love. Aeneid still gazed after her in tears, shaken by her ill fate and pitying her. With effort, then he took the given way, and they went on, reaching the farthest lands, where men famous in war gathered apart. Here Titus came to meet him, and then came Parnopius, glorious in arms, Adrastius then, a pallid shade. Here too were Dardans long beswept in the upper air, men who died in the great war, and he groaned to pick these figures out in a long file. Glaucus, Mendon, Dirisalis, besides Atner's 3 sons, then the priest of Ceres, Polybotus, then Idaeus, holding still to his war car, holding his old gear. To right and left they crowd the path and stayed, and will not have enough of seeing him, but love to hold him back, to walk beside him, and hear the story of why he came. Not so Amagon's Phalanx, chief of the Danans. Seeing the living man in bronze that glowed through the dark air, they shrank in fear. Some turned it and ran at once when routed to the ships, while others raised a battle shout, or tried to mouths agape, mocked by the whispering cry. Here next he saw Deiphobus, Priam's son, mutilated from head to foot, his face and both hands cruelly torn, ears shorn away, nose to the nose-hose looped by a shameful stroke. Barely knowing the shade who quailed before him, covering up his tortured face, Aeneid spoke out to him in his known voice. Deiphobus, gallant officer in high Teucer's line, who chose this brutal punishment, who had so much the upper hand of you. I heard that last night that you had fallen, spent after a slaughter of Pelasgians, fallen on piled up carnage. It was I who built on Rotoium Point an empty tomb and sent a high call to your soul 3 times. Your name, your armor marks the place. I could not find you, friend, to put your bones in earth in the old country as I came away. And Priam's son replied, you left undone nothing, my friend. You gave all ritual due, Deiphobus, due a dead man's shade. My lot and the Laconian woman's ghastly doing sank me in the hell. These are the marks she left me as her memorial. You know how between one false gladness and another we spent that last night. No need to remind you. When the tall, deadly horse came at one bound, with troops crammed in its paunch above our towers, she made a show of choral dance and led our Phrygian women crying out on Bacchus here and there, but held a torch amid them, signaling to Danans from the height. Worn by the long day, heavily asleep, I laid in my unlucky bridal chamber, and rest, profound and sweet, most like the rest of death, weighed on me as I laid. Meanwhile, she, my distinguished wife, moved all my arms out of the house, as she had slipped my sword, my faithful sword, out from beneath my pillow, opened the door, and called in Menelaus, hoping no doubt by this great gift to him, her lover, to blot old infamy out. Why hold back from telling it? The two burst into the bedroom, joined by the ringleader of atrocity, Ulysses, of the Winged King's line. O gods, if with pure lips I pray, requite the Greeks with equal suffering. But you, now tell me, what in the world has brought you here alive? Have you come from your sea wandering, and did heaven direct you? How could harrowing fortune send you these sad, sunless homes, disordered places? At this point in their talk, Aurora, borne through high air on her glowing rosy car, had crossed the meridian. So they linger now with stories they might spend the allotted time. But Aeneas sighed, the Sibyl spoke, warning him briefly. Night comes on, Aeneas. We use up hours grieving. Here is the place where the road forks. On the right hand it goes past mighty Dia's walls, Elysium's way, our way, but the leftward road will punish malefactors, taking them to Tartus. Deiphobus answered her, Reverend lady, no need for anger. I'll depart and make the Italian darkness full again. Go on, sir, glory of us all. Go on, enjoy a better destiny. He spoke, and even as he spoke, he turned away. Now of a sudden Aeneas looked and saw to the left, under a cliff, wide buildings girt by a triple wall round which a torrent rushed with scorching flames, and boulders tossed in thunder, the abyss fiery river. A massive gate with adamantium pillars faced the stream, so strong no force of men or gods in war may ever avail to crack and bring it down. And high in air an iron tower stands, on which Tisiphone, her bloody robe pulled up about her, has her seat and keeps unsleeping watch over the entranceway by day and night. From the interior groans are heard, and thud of lashes, clanking iron, dragging trains. Arrested in his tracks, appalled by what he heard, Aeneas stood. What are the forms of evil here? O sister, tell me, and the punishments dealt out. Why such a lamentation? Said the Sibyl, Light of the Teucrians, it is decreed that no pure soul may cross the sill of evil. When, however, Hecate appointed me caretaker of Arvanus wood, she led me through heaven's punishments and taught me all. This realm is under Cretan Rhadamanus, iron rule. His sentences, he listens and makes the souls confess their crooked ways, how they put off atonements in the world with foolish satisfaction, thieves of time until too late, until the hour of death. At once the avenger girdled with her whip. Tisiphone leaps down to lash the guilty. Vile, writhing snakes held out on her left hand, and calls her savage sisterhood. The awaited time has come. Hell gates will shudder wide on shrieking hinges. Can you see her now? Her shape as doorkeeper upon the sill? More bestial, just inside, the giant hydra lurks with 50 black and yawning throats. Then Tartarus itself goes plunging down to darkness twice as deep as heaven is high, for eyes fix on ethereal Olympus. Here is Earth's ancient race, the brood of Titans, hurled by the lightning down to roll forever in the abyss. Here, too, I saw those giant twins of Aeolus who laid their hands upon great heaven to rend it and to topple Jove from his high seat. And I saw, too, Somnolus paying dearly for the shape of mimicking Jove's fire, Olympus, thunder, shaking a bright torch from a 4-horse car. He rode through Greece and his hometown in Elis, glorying, claiming honor as a god, out of his mind, to feign with horses' hoofs on bronze the blast and immortal bolt. The Father Almighty amid heavy cloud let fly his missile. No firebrand for him, no smoky pitch pine light, and spun the man headlong into a huge whirlwind. And I'm going to leave it there. Thank you for continuing to watch the series. Please continue viewing it. You can comment or just view it, or give it a rating, or a thumbs up or a thumbs down. Leave a comment if you like, or just subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.